That's where they were last year, 6th in pod play. But that North Texas Western game was very entertaining, and North Texas got the win and won the regular season. So they're at least going to NIT berth out of this. But I'm sure their coach knows he better win 3 games later this month or that's NIT bound.
The good news is, though, we have at least got an idea of what the top 2 or 3 teams are going to look like. And you're right, NIT is going to be either taking North Texas or the NCAA. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Got to win the conference tournament, and that's where everybody's focus is right now.
Mm-hmm. Even though it's a long way off, I'm sure Danny's already got his plotting going on to what's going to happen, tune up these 2 last games, and let's get into Dallas, Jerry Jones's house, and let's make it happen for 4 days.
We're going to hear from Dan D'Antoni a little bit later on. Don't forget as well, the Dan D'Antoni Show comes up tonight, 7 o'clock, right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. But I had a chance to catch up with him earlier this afternoon, so we'll hear from him a little bit later on. Also, I talked to Jansen Williams. We'll talk to him. And I've got Jared West's thoughts on a couple of things about the game. But for the most part, UAB, you just can't go down there and beat them. It's very tough, especially when – they have got probably one of the best home court advantages in Conference USA.
Yes.
I'm not saying the officials are the reason Marshall lost that game, but maybe I am. Maybe I'm saying it.
I remember Danny in his postgame said the way UAB played the other night was kind of what they expected UAB to play like during the year. And Marshall, even though they had X number of points more than what UAB did, so did the Blazers. So they were both up there a little bit, but the Blazers got it done. Home court, but there won't be any home court in a week. It's all off to Texas.
No home court. And really, this is a balanced league, top to bottom. The top teams, they're good for a reason, and then there's sort of a cluster right in the middle, and that's where Marshall finds itself.
I mean, you look at third place on down. Marshall's 1 or 2 games away, and Marshall's been up and down all year, but they're right there. Probably going to finish a little bit ahead of what they were projected way back before it started.
And I know it's easy to look at the records and say, well, Marshall's got a better record than a couple of those teams in the Group 1. Well, that might be true, but again, you're playing different groups of teams, so that's sort of a fallacy in a way. But still, Marshall, if they can finish strong, they're going to be 6th. That's a pretty good spot to be in.
They'll have a good draw the first round, and then they're going to hit one of the buzzsaws, and Danny will be the first one to tell you. If you're going to win a tournament, you got to beat them at some point. So let's bring it on. Well, let's take care of our house first, and then we'll go on from there.
So 5 would get 12.
Right.
So 6 would get 11.
Right.
That's what you're looking at right now.
And you would hope that they could take care of 11. And then you get into the 1 through 8 breakdowns, and there's some heavyweights there. But for the most part, Marshall's played with them all. They lost to North Texas by 3. They lost twice to Western, but they were kind of close. They only got to play Charlotte once. But we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's not like they're going to draw a game like that and go, we're in trouble. No. The other team might think we're in trouble, playing an unknown. If they ever hit their stride, look out.
Thunder and Hurt going to Texas next week. And, of course, really not next week. They've got to go play UTSA, and they're going to practice on Thursday, and then they're going to leave on Friday.
Right.
They'll be there for the game on Saturday, and then after that, they're going to head on over to Frisco.
Right. They might as well, instead of coming all the way back to Huntington and going back down, they're just going over.
Well, they're going to have to. There's just no way to charter them to that game at UTSA, charter them back, and then charter them to Frisco again. There's just no way.
No.
I mean, they could do it, but how much is that going to cost you?
Exactly, and I'm sure they'll just pack a few extra clothes for the extended stay, and they'll pack for an extended stay, not just a one and done or 2 and done, maybe the extended stay through the following Saturday.
I'm curious how much logistically it costs to do all this.
I know.
I mean, Conference USA is not a friendly league geographically.
No. I mean, you think where Marshall sits, Norfolk sits, and all the way to Texas, El Paso, which is almost to Mexico, that's not geographically, as you put it, friendly. Luckily, Marshall will be in Texas for the game, so it's not too far to go, but some of these people still got a haul to make to get down there.
There's got to be eventually a reshuffling here.
Yes.
Geographically, this conference makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, some of the others don't either, but this doesn't make any sense at all.
The tournament site, I know Jerry gives his house away a little bit. I mean, it would be nice to get one a little more centrally located for everybody. The 4 Texas schools benefit, but Old Dominion, Norfolk, Charlotte, they got a haul. They have a haul to make. And as you mentioned, it's not cheap.
No.
No matter when you book, it's not cheap.
And you really don't have that much of a bond with those Western teams or those West Division teams.
Yeah, you played 2 of them, and that was it. If you got in the pod, you might see one again. Other than that, you won't see them again until the tournament. So they're out there, but You get 2 at home, 2 on the road, and that's it.
I like La Tech.
Yeah.
I like them, but I don't want to be in a conference with them if it means I got to be in a conference with UTSA and Rice. And just the travel and UTEP, the travel's just not worth it anymore.
And as you mentioned, travel 2020 is not getting cheaper. When you get on an airplane to go here, there, and yonder, they're not lowering airfares.
And really, it's more of there's no financial benefit.
No.
The financial gain, if you're West Virginia, you're getting compensated enough you can overcome playing that Big 12 schedule.
Yeah.
You can overcome that.
Yeah. I mean, the check they get in the year, they can cover some bills.
You can charter better.
Yeah.
But in your Conference USA and you're going out to those – and those Texas teams have to do it as well,
Right.
so it's not a one-way street.
No.
But still, there's got to be some reshuffling here. And a way the tournament for Conference USA, it's more convenient to the tournament host. Conference USA,
Yeah.
they just drive, an hour down the road, and there they are?
If that, and they're here. I mean, Judy and them have not very far to go.
I mean, it's a great facility. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong.
I mean,
It's a great facility.
Jerry gives his house away, but when you turn on television and watch it, you're thinking 2 gyms at once. And it's not going to be friendly for the Marshall fans to go down there. There'll be some that go, but it'll be a lot easier to stream it live. Hopefully it's on TV somewhere and pull for them, or if they can't see it, turn the radio on, listen to Mr. Cotton on your networks.
Well, the good news
The networks will be there.
Yeah, the good news is the women will be there as well.
Right.
So if you're going to the tournament, the men and the women
We'll be there.
you have an opportunity to go root them both on.
Right. Because it's one of the few tournaments where the women and the men play at the same time. Most of them, it's the women play this week, men next week. Conference USA decides to play it all at the same time. And the same, we have the 2 courts with the net strung in the middle, and girls and boys, and a lot of basketball played the first couple of days with 4 games on the males and 4 for the females.
Yeah. Now, this would be an issue for football because of football, you get a once-a-week trip.
Right. And then
Either
whoever does it, host.
So you're either going to go on the road or you're playing home.
Right.
There's no
Neutral.
going here, going there. You're either home or on the road.
Right.
So it's a little bit easier of a setup for football. But outside of football, it's tough on the rest of the teams in
Right.
Conference USA's with all this cross-country travel. I wish geographically this conference made a little bit more sense. And it's nothing against UTSA, UTEP, La Tech, Rice, North Texas. It's not against anything there.
It's just geographically speaking, it's not conducive.
It's like, hey, you're nice to visit, but maybe we can do it less often.
Yeah. If you give me an east, give me a west, maybe 1 or 2 crossovers, and that's it.
So we've got Dan D'Antoni's thoughts about the UAB loss and looking ahead to FAU. We're going to get those when we continue. Also, we'll take your phone calls at 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. We are here today at the Union Pub and Grill. You can always join us on Mondays at the Union Pub and Grill because, well, we've got the Monday special, $1.50 bottles, $2 call shots every Monday here at the Union Pub and Grill. More on the way. It's The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
The Drive with Paul Swann. Marshall Athletic Director Mike Hamrick. He knows.
Paul's the best.
On ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Monday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Paul Swann and Dave Walsh with you. Basketball coming up on Wednesday at the Cam Henderson Center.
Get back to the old Wednesday.
Yeah.
Just one time, though. Just once.
I used to not like Wednesday,
Yeah.
but now I do.
Yeah.
I like the Wednesday. Wednesday, Saturday, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think I miss that more now that I don't have it.
Yeah, because it's used to Thursday, Saturday now.
Yeah. I wish Conference USA would go to Wednesday, Saturday. Of course, again, it's the way they've set up the travel.
Yeah.
You've got travel partners, so you're going to go play one team on Thursday, and then you're going to go travel to the other team on Saturday.
Exactly. Unfortunately, in the pod play, you have no travel partner.
No.
You just hit the road, Jack.
You hit the road, Jack, and, of course, the road was not kind to the herd. They faced off against UAB last week. It was a better game than it was last time. That's the fair thing to say.
As he put it, they showed up, but so did UAB.
UAB showed up. Some people think the officials showed up.
Yep.
I didn't think it was that bad.
No.
I just think that UAB played better. Marshall was a little deficient in a few areas,
Yeah.
but Dan was optimistic talking to him today, and here's Dan's thoughts about the UAB loss.
Well, UAB game, I thought we played pretty well, a lot better than we did the first time down there. So we definitely improved from the first time. We scored better. We're still making mistakes at critical moments that beat us. And if we're going to have a chance, and I think we do have a chance to win the tournament, then we're going to have a couple people, 2 or 3 people, carry us through those times when it's winning time. And if we can do that, then we got a good chance. I feel confident that we're as good as any team that's going in there.
So that's the message every day, every week. Hey, we feel good about this.
This guy is positive. I mean, 500 or so in the league and stuff like that, but at the same time, hey, he's telling you, we're there. We're there. He needs a couple guys when it's crunch time to make the plays that the other team make and then get over the hump and celebrate.
And he's also telling us that every game is winnable. You look at this conference, there's not really a game on this schedule that Marshall, if the right circumstance presents itself,
that they can't win.
They can't win.
Right.
And that's Dan's thoughts, that every game is winnable.
Well, the top pod, there are 5 teams. We beat 2 of them. We beat Florida International and we beat La Tech. We had old Western here by 21, 3-point game with North Texas. So, I don't feel like that we're taking a back seat. We just got to have to go improve ourselves.
That's what he's telling everybody.
Yeah.
We can go out and do this. We got to go out and do it. That's it. Just go do it.
Because we remember that game with Western when they had the big lead and all of a sudden the bottom fell out. The North Texas game, their coaches made the necessary corrections when they got a 60-some point half 2 days earlier at Western. And they were on TV yesterday and won it in overtime to win the regular season. And I think they're going to be the team to beat. If Danny wins the tournament, they're going to take North Texas down at some point. They will have to take them down at some point.
Well,
and I'm sure their coach knows they can play with them.
They're one of the teams you got to keep an eye out for because, again, they won the regular season championship. The good news is they're locked into the NIT if need be.
Yeah.
But Marshall and Dan really feels that if you look at this team at this point and still with a couple of games left, that they just still haven't had that game where everybody or all of it just come together.
No. You've had a day where the 3-point guys go. You've had a day when the rebounders show up, but all the pieces together know. In Texas, Danny wants to see all the pieces come together, and it will turn out the right way.
Here's Dan's thoughts on all the pieces coming together.
No, it seems like for some reason we just don't have it fully clicking yet. I don't know. It's from changing up the offense a little bit to accommodate post-ups and center play, but for some reason it just hasn't been as smooth as I would like, and I'm sure the players would like. But, not over till that last game, and we're still playing.
So that's the goal. Go out there and just play into the last game.
Yeah, they are playing different this year with the big boys down low. They're up and inside and outside last year with Elmore and CJ. A little different style of play. Still adjusting to it. And there are times when it looks pretty good, and other times it's like, what are you doing? So I'm sure Danny will, let's get on the same page at least Wednesday night to start with, and let them give something to think about going to Texas.
So the Herd right now sitting in the 6th spot, as we've talked about. A couple of nights ago, they weren't sitting in the 6th spot, but things have gone their way since, and all they have to do is win out now, and they will be the number 6 team. They will won the group.
Right.
No trophy provided, but you'll win the group.
Mm-hmm. And
I talked to Jansen Williams earlier in the day, and he echoed that, and we'll hear that later. But here's Danny talking about still being in that 6th spot.
Well, we're in the same spot we were. We're in the same spot we were last year. We're at the 6th spot, top spot in the 2nd pod. Now, would I like to be in the top pod? Sure, but we're not, and we're only like a game of win-loss record from the 2 of the top 5 pods. So, it's a tough league all the way through. Anybody can beat anybody. So, there's a lot of balance. We just got to go out there, and that's what makes basketball fun is we got a chance, and we just need to go out there and go in like we did a couple years ago and come out with a big prize.
Optimistic.
He is optimistic.
Yeah, I would be too.
There's a couple of those.
I'm sure the teams in the league looking at Marshall know, if they connect on all cylinders, we're going to have our hands full. Inside, outside, and they will have their hands full.
Now, this next soundbite, again, Dan talking to us earlier this afternoon, I had to do a double take on this because I thought I heard this soundbite last week.
Yeah.
And maybe I have. It's just mentioned UAB. But here's Dan's thoughts on this week's opponent, FAU.
Well, I just finished watching the Florida Atlantic game. We didn't play very well. We couldn't score. We weren't moving the ball. There wasn't a lot of energy. We still hadn't had our starting lineup set. That was still in that area, almost like UAB where we couldn't score there, which second time we went down there we scored. They played extremely well shooting-wise to beat us, but I think we're a lot more have a lot more flow with our offense now, and they have three little guards that are really good. And they got a couple of big men that are, that do a decent job inside, and they're a good ball club. And we'll have to go out there, and this could be a good ball game. So I hope everybody will show up and support this team.
Almost sounds like last week when I was talking to him about UAB.
Just switch the initials.
Just a little bit, switch the initials there. By the way, that game was on the road, so he added the whole "hope you show up" bit.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought that was last week's philosophy. He is locked in on what he needs to do.
Well, I remember when they made the Florida trip, I thought FIU might give them trouble. They beat FAU and it went the other way, the regular season. So now they have a chance to make up for some things that happened the first time around, to see if they can atone for it. And he's done his homework. He knows what it's going to take. They got good guards. He said the inside guys do enough. So we got to do just a little bit more than they do. And they're the ones traveling, not us.
Yeah, that's the good news there.
Yes.
But at the same time, Marshall's had to travel to Texas and then come back. I mean, really, they've traveled to Texas. Well, they traveled to Texas. They were in Alabama. Sorry, I got my two Conference USA schools mixed. But still, they had to travel a little bit, and then they come back, and then they got to travel again.
Right.
And I don't know, if the travel's going to catch up with them. The good news is they had a few days, and they're practicing now this week. They weren't able to do that until today.
Right. I heard him talk about it after the game. He says we're traveled them hours off back work Monday. So, and they're playing Wednesday. So, see what happens. They've been pretty good on a two-day planning period. Plus, they already had a little scattering report.
Yeah, they're going to have to be.
Yes.
I mean, they've seen the opponent, so they're going to have to be ready on a 2-day notice.
Exactly. And then that 2-day notice for the other team, one of those days will be spent getting up here. They have to travel from Florida to here, so the burden's on them.
UTSA is probably smiling right now because the good news for them is they can sit and wait.
Yeah. They don't play Wednesday?
Well, they still get to play host to Marshall on Saturday.
Right.
That's going to be the disadvantage for them.
Yeah.
Is the fact that you've got a situation where Marshall's got to just upend what they do now. They got to haul and get out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, traveling to Texas is not fun.
No. Then you got to travel to Texas and then travel some more to stay in Texas when it's all said and done. So, big suitcase, and enough to stay a long time and make it worth the stay. You've done it once before, and so the players, some of the guys are around them, they know what it takes.
And give you the travel itinerary for UTSA. This is the week they've got Old Dominion. They're at Old Dominion.
So they've got to go across.
They got to travel too. Yeah, they got to travel too.
Cross-country run.
They're going to play on Wednesday, and then they're going to travel. Maybe they can just pick up Marshall on the way and just drop them off.
Get one plane and double up. But so they got to come all the way to Virginia, then go back and get ready to play for Marshall.
So both of them are going to be pretty much wore out.
Yeah.
The difference is UTSA doesn't have to stay in a hotel room.
No.
They can stay in their own bed. They can practice their practice schedule. It'll be all familiar to them.
Yeah.
And these are important games because you look at the Conference USA standings. Right now, Marshall, as we mentioned, 6th. They've got the Old Dominion tiebreaker right now. 8-8 Old Dominion. They've got the tiebreaker there.
Right.
UAB at 8-9. If they would catch up, Old Dominion would not have the tiebreaker, but UAB would. And then you've got FAU at 8-9. So this is an important game for them.
Right.
And then UTSA sitting at 7-9.
Right.
So
they're all having consequences with a W or an L.
They're hoping to be 9-9, and Marshall is hoping to be 9-8 and then 10-8 and just be locked into that 6th seed.
See, whoever comes out 11, we'll meet them.
Southern Miss, Rice, and UTEP all battling for those final spots. I don't think Middle Tennessee is going to catch up because you've got UTEP and Rice at 6 and 10. Southern Miss is 5 and 11, and Middle Tennessee is 3 and 13.
I don't think there's enough games.
No. No, they're not going to catch up at all.
And whoever the one you mentioned before that with 5 is going to need a little bit of help.
Yes.
Because the 2 6s are thinking like, if we can win one more, we'll have to do it. They'd have to sweep, we'll have 2, and then maybe they get a tiebreaker.
It's going to be out of these 3, UTEP, Rice, Southern Miss.
Right.
One of these schools staying home.
Yeah.
Which team would it be better? See, Southern Miss has faded. Southern Miss has lost their.
They came out strong, didn't they?
They've lost the last 2.
Yeah.
And UTEP has won the last 2.
Right.
Rice is on a 1-game winning streak, and Middle Tennessee has lost 1. So it's not doing Southern Miss because Southern Miss was above the fray here before they got into this thing.
Yeah.
And now they're on the outside. Yeah, they're working their way back down.
So it's work your way up, not down.
Yeah, that's the point here.
Right.
You're supposed to work your way up, not down. And unfortunately for Southern Miss, they're going to end up not going to the conference tournament. Middle Tennessee pretty much a deadlock not going. So Rice and UTEP, hey, the good news is they don't have to travel far.
No. When it wraps up on Saturday, they just load them up and head on a few miles east, and they're at the tournament site, as opposed to some of them having to go quite a distance.
We're here today at the Union Pub and Grill, and when we continue, we're going to hear from Jansen Williams. I had a chance to catch up with him earlier this afternoon. Want to get his thoughts on the game at UAB and looking ahead to FAU. We'll hear from him. And later on as well, we'll get a couple of thoughts from Jared West about the UAB game and just the fact that the Herd, good news, 6th place right now. All you have to do is win out. So UAB really didn't ding them too bad. But you still got to take care of your business, and we'll hear from Jared later on in the program. We'll update you on who won Conference USA Player of the Week. I'll give you a hint. No one on Marshall's team won it.
No.
So that's your hint.
No.
We'll talk about it more when we continue on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Presented by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Guests with Paul Swann appear via the Miller Lite phone lines.
877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255 to be a part of the program today. Paul Swann and Dave Walsh with you. Marshall basketball getting set for FAU Wednesday night. We'll have that for you right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 and 93.7 The Dog. Guess what? The Thundering Herd, after that, Saturday, and then after that, tournament time.
Yeah.
It's tournament time.
Yeah.
It's finally here. It's March. Happy March.
2 weeks from Sunday, Selection Sunday. Unbelievable.
Is it really 2 weeks from Sunday?
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Happy March, everyone. It's a
No,
national holiday.
Sunday. I think it's a week from Sunday.
Well,
I forgot Sunday was the leap year. March 1st actually Sunday. So it was 2 weeks from that Sunday, I think. Because when Marshall plays the tournament on Saturday and a few games on Sunday, and then they come on TV and say, here's where they're going.
That'll be it.
Here's where they're going.
Hopefully we're talking about Marshall in the NCAA tournament, but if that's not the case.
If they ever snuck up and won it, they're going to ship them out 13, 14, 15, 16.
I think they'd be a 13 or 14 seed maybe.
Yeah. And maybe not stick them in with West Virginia this time.
Well,
like it did 2 years ago.
You do that partially because of geography.
Right.
And
that didn't work out 2 years ago all the way in California.
I don't know, man. I think the NCAA has a sense of humor. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, because, again, they stuck them in the same group.
In California.
And then in soccer, they stuck West Virginia in the same group. And then that's, again, geography.
Yeah. You got to think, will history repeat itself?
It's not one of those situations where, hey, let's put these two together.
And they pretty much said they won't play one another under their circumstances, so we'll make them play.
Well, West Virginia will play Marshall if Marshall travels and plays in Morgantown.
No.
And Marshall says thanks, but no thanks. Right. And so there is an avenue. How bad do you want the game? Do you want to go and be West Virginia's guest, or you want to not play that game?
Yeah.
I'm good with it not being played.
Yeah. Life has continued without it.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I really am good without it.
Yeah.
I don't obsess over it.
No.
I mean, once upon a time as a youngster, I'd be like, yes, let's play this game.
But now?
No, I don't care.
Hey, it's just another game on the schedule, and it's not on schedule. Move on.
Hey, I wish you well.
Yep.
Good luck. Hope you have a great season.
Yep.
If we meet, we meet. If
So
not, have a great season.
Yep.
Because I can't spend all day.
No.
I can't spend that time.
Wishing, knowing it won't come to fruition.
I can't devote the headspace to it. It's not worth it. It really isn't, because really it doesn't matter. At the end of the day,
Marshall's going to play a representative enough schedule. They are going to play a representative enough schedule. People are a little bone and groan about the one game they come to Charleston and play, but so be it, and that's it. Best wishes, as you mentioned. Hey, best wishes up north, best wishes to Marshall. Let's play.
Exactly. You want to play, you want to play. If you don't want to play, you don't want to play.
Right.
And that's fine with me. I tell you, a guy who does want to play. Jansen West. I'm Jansen West. I wish he was Jansen West. Jansen West.
I'm sure Jansen wants to make up for a few things. He had a good game here, and then he had a foul out. And the first time at FAU was not good for any of them. So I'm sure Jansen probably said, I want to make up for it.
Yeah. And I start talking to Jansen Williams.
Yes.
I have to tell him that. I called him Jansen West. I'll have to tell him I did that.
Yeah.
But Jansen and I agreed that it was a competitive match against UAB.
They're a great team. The past 2 games, last time we went down there, it's always been a fight. Could have caught some calls come our way that we thought we should have, but overall, we just got to play better basketball. They're a competitive team. I mean, I got to give it to them. They one thing that they gave us, one thing that was hard for us to guard and come adapt to was them closing out really fast. We throw it into Iron. If they doubled Iron, and Iron would kick it out, they'd come out and close really fast. So we just got to match their tempo. We got to play our game, and everything will be fine.
If you got them on, say, a neutral court, it might be a different outcome. They're just tough to play.
Absolutely, especially at home. They're a tough team to play at home, but 100%, I believe we're a better team than they are, and we're going to come out there and we're going to show them.
Coming up this week, you're at home. You're taking on FAU, second time facing them.
Right.
The good news is you're at home. It's the final regular season game, so you should have a great home court advantage.
Yeah, this is the last game, home game. Hope everybody comes out. It's going to be a great crowd. It's going to be a great atmosphere. It's going to be a great time for a great game. And, we'll give some FAU. We played them, it's been a while back. It's like 3 weeks ago or something like that. They're a great team. They got a really good posts, kind of a similar game to us. And, come in here, help us cheer us on, and get this win.
How challenging is it? You got to face a team, and you have a couple of times now, the second time. This time you're playing FAU here, so that's the only thing that's different. You had Old Dominion here for the second time. You played UAB for the second time there. I mean, finally, it feels like you're just getting a return game.
How I think about it, and what a lot of people don't understand is, you'd think it'd be easier since you've already played them. You're like, okay, so I know what to look forward to. Like, I know exactly what to look forward to. I know what to look for. But what you don't think about is that this is their second time playing you as well, so they know what to look for as well. So some things that they watch film just like we do, and they fix everything just like we do. So it's gonna be a brand new game, similar faces. That's it.
Looking at the standings, still sixth place, so everything you want in this group still attainable.
I love the sixth place spot. I love the spot that we're in. I think that's if you're not in the front, this is probably the best place to be. I know that sounds weird, but there's a lot of positives that come with being the place that we are now. And if we can come out and win these 2 games, that'd be crucial.
The good news is you're playing this one at home, but as we've talked about in the past, heading out to Texas after that for UTSA.
Yeah, the Texas trips aren't the funnest, but we've scouted UTSA, and we're really looking at UTSA to get that win. I need that win. I gotta get a win in that gym. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough flight. Everybody's backs hurt a little bit. School's catching up, and it'll be good that we'll be able to stay in Texas. After we beat UTSA, knock on wood, we'll get to stay out there and then go over to Frisco, and we'll get to relax a little bit. So it won't make the Texas trip as bad as it has been. So we're looking forward to it.
Some teams, some players might think that that's a little undue adversity because you're going to Texas. No one else has to really deal with the travel that you're dealing with. You seem to be relishing it.
Absolutely. Well, we got 4 teams that are from Texas. Texas is a big state, so it's still a ways to go to Frisco for some teams. But a couple teams have really good advantages being close to Frisco. So adding us to the list, with our competitors, from the Florida schools to West Kentucky to Charlotte, UAB, we'll be there. Thank God. Some people can say it's an advantage. Some people can say it's a disadvantage. I say it's an advantage. Absolutely. It'll get us relaxed and, focused on the next journey that we have to go on as a team, and that's the conference tournament.
That's Jansen Williams from earlier this afternoon.
The jet lag will be limited this time.
Yeah.
The second time around it's just from UTSA to Frisco instead of Huntington to there, which you're on the plane a little bit longer. Just a short hop, and they can relax and rest up and get their work in and go from there.
Still, wouldn't it be better, though, if they could go home?
It would be.
And then come back?
Yeah. But I'm sure way, way, way back they said, this is what we're going to have to do it. Make plans for it. And I'm sure they will. Jansen's he's very excited. He says, knock on wood, take out UTSA, short hop over to Frisco, and then 6th seed, let's roll the ball out and see what happens.
Marshall, FAU, we'll have it for you coming up on Wednesday right here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I've got Iron Bennett for tomorrow.
Okay.
From today for tomorrow. I've got him.
Good.
So
I'm sure Iron's first thing was probably, let me stay in the game. I mean, you know how it goes.
I'll tease this for tomorrow. I asked him about him saying that he wanted to get UAB. It didn't go the way he wanted.
Okay.
That'll be the first thing we talk about tomorrow.
I will be tuned into that one, buddy.
Okay. Quick conversation with Iron. We'll hear that tomorrow. Plus, I'll have some feedback from Jared West and the sheriff himself, Andy Taylor. So we'll hear from him.
Yeah. Andy's one of those guys that's got to raise it up a notch or two, and I'm sure he'd be the first one to tell you that.
I do have a couple of sound bites from Jared West. I'll tease you for tomorrow's show when we come back from break on what Jared talked to us about. So we'll tease you with that. Tomorrow's show, we'll have Jared, Andrew, Iron, me. And you'll hear a little bit of Jared when we continue with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Never miss a moment of The Drive with Paul Swann. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
We're coming to you today from the Union Pub and Grill. Paul Swann and Dave Walsh with you one final time on this Monday.
Jared, a little tease with Jared?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
We can do that. I got Jared West, talked to him earlier today. And coming up on tomorrow's show, as is what we call a tease in the business here, going to hear a conversation I had with Iron Bennett. Also, we'll hear a little bit from Andy Taylor, the sheriff himself, and we'll hear more from Jared. And, of course, we'll hear some of the stuff on Wednesday as well as we have our
tip it off.
Yeah, we got a pregame show we do.
That's one thing I like about Jared. He's your true, what I call two-way player for 94 feet. As soon as they throw the ball in bounds, he's got the guy, prima donna, and he's going to guard him as long as he's on the floor.
I just got to decide, are we doing a show on Wednesday? Because that means I've got to hire Jason Toy, and he's expensive.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, for an extra hour, I got to hire him for an extra hour. He's expensive. So talked to Jared earlier, Jared West. I thought he had a good game. He always has a good game. Sometimes they're better. Sometimes they're a little lower than you expect from him. But he's always consistent. And I just want to get Jared's thoughts about the UAB game. And we might hear that tomorrow.
Right.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. While I figure out what happened there, because, again, this is a tease that's failing miserably for tomorrow.
But, you've had a tease here a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I had a tease.
About college basketball playoffs coming up. But you also got the high school coming up. Girls next week, the boys the following week.
I'll let you talk about that, Dave.
Those two, and then this past weekend I was over to Civic Center when they had the state wrestling tournament. Or as it's been called, the Parkersburg South / Point Pleasant Invitational, because they steamrolled their divisions. It was impressive. Championship night on Saturday, John Bonecutter for Point Pleasant, he just sat out there. He had 10 in the finals. 1-6, had 10 in the finals. He just, instead of having to run back and forth, he just sat and waited until the next match was called.
Good crowd for that again?
It was a very good crowd, very full. Parkersburg people for South, good turnout. Point Pleasant had the whole side of the building over there. I've always said if you're going to get a bank, Friday and Saturday was a good time to do it because all the Point Pleasant people were here. They were all here. They have really made that thing grow, and judging by their middle school, their youth program, they're going to be a tough team to unseat. John's going to have quite a run. I don't know if it's as good as Oak Glen had when they won 13 in a row, but he's going to have quite a run, and I don't know who is going to take down Parkersburg South. I just don't see it. Although Braxton Amos did graduate, so you can throw out 24 points before they even show up.
They did have a great crowd for the youth tournament the week before.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, going into Roosters, it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard. I just wanted a takeout order.
You changed your mind?
No. I wanted a takeout order. I saw the
You
wait.
did not want to stay. No.
No, I just wanted a takeout order. It was hard to get a seat.
Yeah.
They were hopping, and boy, you know what? My hats off to those folks over at Roosters.
Yeah.
They were working it.
Yes.
They were making sure everybody was happy because I think all the wrestling tournament went to Roosters afterwards.
Yeah. Because it's only a, block and a half?
Just about.
Yeah.
Just about. Okay. So I now have Jared West talking about the UAB game.
Okay.
Here's Jared West on the game.
Yeah, UAB was a tough game, obviously. A lot different than the first time we played them. You know, the first time we couldn't buy a bucket, and now this time we scored 80 points but gave up 88. So two different dynamics to the game, really. But I thought our flow was good. I thought our offense was good. We made some shots. I feel like for the most part we just didn't get enough stops and rebounds really to win the game down the stretch. But, you know, these next two games are also very important. Again, we lost FAU, we lost to UTSA. We get FAU here in front of our home crowd on Wednesday, so that's going to be really big for us. And, you know, we can still put ourselves in a position to get the 6th seed if we just win these next two games. So we really need to be focused on looking forward.
So, Jared, looking ahead, UAB, I thought it was a good performance.
Yeah,
it wasn't a winning performance, but it was good.
Yeah, he goes, we scored 80, but unfortunately we got 88. And we have a chance to play the two teams that beat us on their floor, and they want to, you know, one here, one there. So he wants to make up for UAB. FAU, and then go down to UTSA and make up for that one. Not quite the shooting performance they had hoped, but next time around, see what happens. They both know what they're going to do to each other, and Marshall just have to do a little bit better than FAU or UTSA.
Yeah, and the good news is, and
they've done it.
They've done it before, and here's the other good news. They woke up this morning, looked at the standings,
and said, hey, we're in 6th, we can stay there.
And here's Jared talking about still being 6th.
A lot has happened in the last couple of days, you know, with the standings and where pod play started to now. So it really just goes to show how important every game is. But you're right. At the same time, you know, we're back in the 6th spot, and we have an opportunity to really keep that if we win the next two games. So that should be our main focus. Obviously, we need to learn from UAB, but we don't want to dwell on that or think about it too much because FAU is the most important game we got right now because it's the next game. And them and UTSA are two good teams that we really I feel like we have a chance to beat both teams, so we just got to stay focused and get these two wins.
Where have I heard that before?
A bunch of times. But he's right on. He's spot on. And he'll be one of the key figures to pull that off. Scoring on one end and making it difficult for the other good team's best player to produce.
Yeah, and I like how Jared really is focused and positive.
He is.
You can never really get him down. That kid is ready to go next game, doesn't matter what.
He is your true two-way player, and when the game is over and you're thinking he spent 94 feet guarding a guy and then 94 feet coming down and the game's over, he's got to be tired. I know he's only a teenager and stuff, but he gives it all. He's laid it all on the floor.
And I like Jansen's explanation what was going on earlier because he explained it. Look, we go into Iron. Iron can't get it in. He kicks it out. Then they swarm.
Yeah. They got it a little quicker than past. You know, and they kick it out and shoot. No, UAB was there with an answer to keep that from happening.
Is that scheme? Is that schematics? Is that athleticism?
A little bit of both. Probably the UAB coach putting it together from what they did the first time around and say, okay, we make it tough for Iran. Their second best option is three-point land or whatever. We make it tough on. Now, they got 12, I think, but still. Even though they got them, they challenged them. The old hand in the face, as we would put it. Not a free one, just a hand in the face, and make them earn it.
I still liked Iron's game. I thought he had a great game.
Yeah, he was a double-figure guy. He played well. He went the distance. It's just their guys had just a hair more than Marshall did.
And honestly, I thought that might have been his best game.
Yeah, two-way, yeah.
All the way, him. Of course, Tavion's going to get his, but at the same time, I kind of wish maybe you take Tavion out for just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Let him look at the game from the bench, watch it, see what's going on, get him back in. But
let him do it.
They had a problem. Darius George wasn't available to him. No. So whatever he had to eat, that's the way it came down. Basically, he ate something, didn't agree with him, and he wasn't available for that game, and that limited what Danny could do.
Right, and then those pieces, when they're not available or having an off night, it kind of clarifies their situation. Darius is available. The two foreigners are available is one thing, but if they produce, then you have 8 to 9 guys producing. If they don't, Mike Byers, then you're back down to a 5 or 6 man producing, and the other side has 8 or 9 doing it. It's going to be hard. It's like the wrestling. Parkersburg South brings 14 people. 12 of them play, 6 of them win. You're not going to beat them. Unless you can match them, you're not going to beat them. And if Marshall can't match them, they're not going to beat them.
We'll find out Wednesday. Yep. Cam Henderson Center is where it's going to be.
7 p.m.
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
You'll be there. I've seen you there.
You'll be there.
You 6 o'clock or 5:30 when you come on?
We're going to probably come on if we do the show Wednesday, because what we usually do is pregame is going to be half an hour before Steve goes on the air.
Right.
So tips at 7. Steve would go on the air at 6:30. We would go on at 6 for the pre-game.
Right.
And probably
when he signs off, you come on.
Yeah, I'll probably either have a best of show.
Best of. There we go.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
We'll see.
You have time to script it.
Yeah, we'll have some options here at 5. So we'll not leave you hanging here. We'll figure out what we're going to do. Because, to be quite honest, this is the last game. I think we're going to be there a long time.
Yeah.
It's going to be senior day without any seniors on the roster. Cheerleaders, band members, people who work in the equipment room, things of that nature. Yeah, those guys and gals need to be honored still.
And the post game after we leave, you're up on the radio, and I get home, I turn it on because somehow the players that find their way into the media room somehow find their way back up to you.
Well,
or some guys that don't get to go to the media room find their way to you. Y'all make it happen, and it's very beneficial.
Well, we're pretty lucky. Yeah, we've got a few people who help us out make it happen.
Yeah.
So we're pretty lucky there. And, of course, if Marshall wins, yes, you're going to hear from somebody.
Yeah, they'll be more than willing.
Maybe I'll get the Iron again.
There you go.
Or Jansen. We'll get him up there.
Yeah.
Depends on who. Basically, if you have a really, really good game, you go in the back.
Right.
And if you have a really good game, not really, really, but just really,
you come up.
You come to me.
Yeah. If you have a really good game, you go to the back, then come to you.
Yeah.
Because like you say, the last home game, you'll be there a while.
I'll be there a while. You'll be there a while as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because, of course, hopefully we're talking about a long trip in Texas for him.
Yeah. Going to Texas feeling good.
Yeah, I'd hate to just go to Texas and hang out for a day in Frisco and then go home.
You take down FAU, one revenge game, UTSA coming up. You head to Texas for an extended stay, but one that you have a way of making very beneficial, the extended stay.
Conference USA Player of the Week in softball. Can you guess who it is?
Marshall player.
It is Marshall player.
They kept losing softballs down there again.
Can you guess who it is?
I think it was Maya Stevenson.
It is Maya Stevenson.
Yeah.
You're the choice.
They're putting up some numbers.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're reading it. It's like opponents cannot keep the ball in the park. It's incredible what they're doing.
No. Softball's doing well. They are back in action on Wednesday. They had to change their schedule around. So they're back in action on Wednesday. Of course, more details on that, herdzone.com is always where I tell you to go. But how about that? 5-0 weekend, and Maya, Player of the Week in Conference USA.
Yeah. Could have been a number of people, but they picked one that came out of Huntington, and they're scoring. Worst comes to worst, they'll outscore you.
That's going to do it for this edition. For Jason Toy back in the studio, for Dave Walsh, I'm Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in to today's edition of The Drive.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.